Will the second half of 2024 bring a market rally or a reality check? As the year's second half kicks off, will positive news on tariffs and legislation be enough to keep the market's momentum, or is a surprise pullback lurking just around the corner?
Yeah, good morning, Andrew. Well, we think we're going to find out. Hopefully we're going to find out. So what's been really interesting about the market is if you look at it as of late, it almost seems like it's been shrugging off not knowing about the tariffs and the big, beautiful bill and geopolitics. It's been, a market that has just come completely back off of the April lows and is in, high growth momentum mode here. So yeah, I do think that the bar is high though, right? Because we are at these all-time high valuations. The market's been rallying, and what's around the corner is what will determine the path for the second half of the year. What is the Fed going to do? Is Iran and Israel, is that a 12-day conflict? Is that really over? What happens with tariffs and what happens with this bill? So the answers to those questions are what will drive the market forward. And obviously resolutions will make the market, rally, and any kind of unexpected negative news to any of these points could lead to pullbacks.
Okay, so it's interesting you say that, because I wonder whether you think that the big, beautiful bill, if you will, is baked into the cake. I wonder whether you think, given what we've heard about tariffs and where the market is, that it's baked into the cake that the tariff situation gets resolved. And so what I wonder is, there's two ways this goes. If it's baked into the cake already, it's not clear that the market rockets like a rocket ship, after we announce, or the country announces what's happening. If you think it is baked in the cake, maybe things are actually flatter, and I don't know which is the right answer.
Yeah, I think the expectation is baked into the cake. So, anything that falls short of that could certainly lead to a pullback in the markets. I think, negative news on tariffs or getting these, astronomical types of rates that we saw before back on the table, that's something that could pull the market back. But I do think that a resolution, we saw it the other day briefly, right, with Canada when they kind of blinked first, right? The market right away kind of rallied on that news. So I do think that there's still some consumer investor sentiment that if you get positive news around tariffs, you're going to get a little bit of a rally.
In terms of tech, big tech specifically, it's been working. It continues to work. But But is this the holy grail of this point? We have Meta, Amazon, Apple, Alphabet on the screen.
Yeah, so I think that, tech has changed, and the old guards have really learned new tricks. And you're seeing that even beyond the Mag 7. You're also seeing it with companies like IBM and Oracle. And then you have this new guard. And I think, I've talked to you about this before, but I just think that the future of technology is AI and quantum computing. And these companies are now starting to really participate in this, right? There's increased CapEx here. There's adoption. There's use of these types of technologies in other sectors that, hopefully we're going to start hearing play out in the earnings season. So when you have things like AI starting to transform healthcare and defense spending and things like this, and big tech plays a part of that and a part of playing those services, I do think that you still have some momentum in the big tech names going forward. And look, everyone, when we go risk off, big tech falls the hardest, but it does also, it turns out to be the sector that everyone buys on the dips, and we kind of get back right to where we were. So it's sort of like lessons learned on these pullbacks, right? These are strong companies with stable balance sheets. They're the future of technology. I would argue that AI is the topic of the market, even over tariffs right now, and the big, beautiful bill over the last couple of weeks. And so, don't count these leaders out.